There are quite a few things you can feel stuck on when starting out raw feeding, and one that many, as well as myself, got hung up on is how much to feed each day. In this video, I will be going over 2 methods to determine how much you should be feeding your dog. The first one is a simplified method using their body weight percentage, which is determined by their age, weight, and activity level, and then a more in-depth and precise method of determining by calories and the nutritional data of each item in the bowl. I will be going over this in a more in-depth video later, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. With already having so much information to absorb, it's best for beginners to start out with the body weight percentage method, as it's very simple and easy to calculate. Once you get the hang of this and your dog is doing great on their new diet, it would be beneficial to start learning how to build their bowl from a caloric standpoint. To figure out how much to feed when using their body weight, what you first need to do is figure out your dog's ideal body weight, whether this be their current weight or the weight that they should be for their age and size. If you're unsure of your dog's ideal body weight, ask your veterinarian or research the breed. If your dog is a mix or you're still struggling with what their ideal weight should be, you can visually inspect them by following this image. Figuring this out means we are feeding them based on what their ideal body weight should be, and in turn they will lose or gain weight until they reach the goal weight. Once you've figured out their ideal body weight, you then need to determine their activity level. Other things to consider are their age and breed size, which are also factors in how much you will need to feed. The average percentage to feed an adult dog is 2 to 3% of their ideal body weight. If they're highly active, you probably want to feed around 3%, and if they're overweight or inactive, 2% might be best. If your dog is a working or sporting dog, they may require up to 3.5% of their body weight. And if your dog is obese, they may need to be fed 1.5 to 2% of their body weight, and of course, exercise them as well. The average for a healthy, moderately active dog is around 2.5%. Basically, monitor your dog's weight when feeding and adjust accordingly, because sometimes it can be difficult to actually determine their activity level by guessing. How many times a day you should feed your dog is dependent on your schedule and your dog's preference. Some feed their dog the whole day's worth of food at once during dinner time, and some split their meals up between 2 to 3 feedings. This is something you as an owner need to figure out. My dog Matsu often prefers to eat later in the day versus being fed split meals. The age of your dog is also something to consider. If you're feeding a puppy, you can either feed them 2 to 3% of their expected adult body weight, or if they're around 2 to 3 months old, start with 10% of their current body weight and slowly decrease as they age. Your puppy's meal should be split between 3 to 4 small meals per day, as they need to eat often to support their growth. If you're feeding a senior dog, the feeding percentages may just need to decrease a tiny bit if they're becoming less active. Remember to monitor their weight and adjust accordingly. Did you know that breed size also matters? Small breeds need to eat a higher percentage of their body weight daily than larger breeds do. Now let's move on to calories. Dogs need calories just like we do, but determining how much each dog needs is unfortunately unclear. But to get a rough estimate on your own dog, again, we must look at their weight and body condition. There's a simple formula that helps determine your dog's average daily caloric intake, which is first converting your dog's body weight to kilograms, then calculating your dog's resting energy requirements, which is the energy needed to perform essential body functions like breathing and digesting food, then determining your dog's maintenance energy requirement, which is calculated when factoring in their activity level. For example, my dog is 25 pounds or 11.34 kilograms. To calculate his resting energy requirement, I multiply his weight in kilograms raised to the power of 0.75 by 70, which equals 432.57. This is the amount of calories my dog needs to simply sustain living. Finally, I need to factor in his activity level and lifestyle. To do this, I multiply his resting energy requirement by his maintenance energy requirement. I currently place him in the average neuter dog category and bring that up a little during active periods like when we do agility. This raises up his requirement to 432.57 to 692, which means on average, Matsu needs about 692 calories per day. This is an average figure and could vary by as much as 20% in either direction. Don't get hung up on it being exact every day. Again, monitor your dog's body condition. Now that you know how to figure out your dog's average caloric intake, how do we apply that to the meats that we're feeding? This is where it starts to get a little tricky, as nutritional data on certain cuts may not be available. One of the most reputable sources to seek out nutritional data is Food Data Central on the USDA's website, which I will link below. So for example, if I were to look up duck liver, I would type in the search box and I usually type in raw in the beginning to narrow the selection down. Then I click on the option that's the closest. Again, some items like heads and green tripe won't be on here, unfortunately. I searched for Kcal Energy, which shows that it's 136 calories per 100 grams, which is about 3.5 ounces. Of course, you do need to do a little math to calculate this per the weight of the item that you're feeding. Again, counting calories and assessing nutritional data is a topic I'm going to make a specific video on for the sake of keeping this video simple, so look out for that. Whatever method you choose, remember, don't stress. The last thing I want to do is make raw feeding out to be scary and intimidating. I know I threw a lot of information at you at once, but I just want it out there so when you're ready and able to count calories, if that's something that you're wanting to do, you have a resource. I'll also list some helpful resources below, so be sure to check them out in the description. If you're wanting to learn a little more about raw feeding and what recipes might be best for your dog, check these videos out.